Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new edition of Got a Story for You. I'm Phil Junta, your host, writer, and occasional story narrator on this channel. Coming to you from a slightly different location, out in my sunroom this evening on this rather sultry August early evening, and just wanted to come here with a few updates for you. This will be a very brief episode. Here we are in August, but it's never too early to think about Halloween, I guess. And so. I got my copies of Kashmir Ghost and Graveyards at Night. This is a Halloween anthology that contains my trick or treat story, Black Cat, White Skulls. And I'll read that for you probably in October when it's more seasonably appropriate to read a Halloween story. But this book is the seventh anthology by the Mindful Writers Retreat authors. The retreat happens twice a year in Ligonier, Pennsylvania. And it's in the Laurel Highlands region of the Allegheny Mountains, and I go every October. It's February and October, and I go every October because it's gorgeous out there in autumn with the leaves changing colors, and the temperatures are, the typical cool autumn temperatures, although we've had a few 75 plus degree retreats, and I always kind of joke that it was the summer retreat, but it's at the Ligonier Camp and Conference Center, just outside of town. And the about 7 or 8 years ago, the attendees before I joined, the attendees decided, hey, we're all writers. Why don't we put together an anthology of stories and essays and poems, and each anthology could benefit a different charity. So in the case of Kashmir Ghost and Graveyards at Night, the Allegheny Land Trust will be our charity of choice for this anthology. All proceeds will go to the Allegheny Land Trust to help support public lands. So this book will be out on August 31st. It goes live. You can pre-order it right now, and I'll have links to that below in the notes as well to this book. I haven't read through it yet, but I always love reading anthologies that I'm in just to see what my other contributors, my fellow contributors, have crafted up and created for it. In fact, to that end, the book that I'm reading right now is the last anthology I was in. That's Tales of Steel and Sorcery. I had my first sword and sorcery story published in this book back in June. It's called The Torch of Clarity, and I'm about halfway through reading this right now. It's got stories by Jonathan Mayberry, the great Jonathan Mayberry, who just won his sixth Bram Stoker Award, Lifetime Achievement Award. Maxwell Gold, who is the current executive director of the Horror Writers Association, and many other fantastic writers. We had a beautiful book launch at Captain Blue Hen Comics in Newark, Delaware, back in June. It's an absolutely wonderful event. And I drove down there from Pennsylvania. And it was absolutely worth the drive. It was a wonderful evening and meeting some of the other writers and getting a chance to read an excerpt from my story to our audience and signing a bunch of books. It was a lot of fun. So Tales of Steel and Sorcery, this has been out since June. I've talked about it in several of my previous episodes of this little program. So that is that. And a couple of events coming up that I will be going to in case you are interested. Let me once again share my screen. Let me jump over to my upcoming events page here. Witches Day Out is the next event where I'll be tabling, and I will have all my books there, including the new ones, Kashmir Ghost and Graveyards at Night, Dreams from the Edge of Reality. You can see it there on the screen, as well as Steel and Sorcery, and all of my books. That will be in Whitehall, Pennsylvania at Cementon Park. Let me just expand the screen a little bit for you. Cementon Park in Whitehall. They don't have a link to a website, but they do have a Facebook page, and if I can scrounge that up, I'll put that link in the notes below as well. They moved locations. They used to be at the Northampton Sportsman's Club, or Triborough Sportsman's Club in Northampton, sorry, for the past several years, but they outgrew that. Now they're going to be in Cementon Park, and they're actually changing it to a night market. So it'll be 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. on September 19th. Speaking of Kashmir Ghost and Graveyards at Night, it just came to my attention within the last few days that we will have a book signing for it, possibly at Second Chapter Books in downtown Ligonier, Pennsylvania. When I say downtown Ligonier, it's your typical middle America small town with its little courtyard in the center, and it's a nice little pet shop and hardware store and ice cream shop here and candy shop there, post office there, courthouse over the red brick courthouse. It's this beautiful little rustic town, typical middle America town, and they have a small bookshop there called Second Chapter Books. And one of the attendees of our retreat has uh, been kind enough to arrange a book signing for us on Sunday, October 18th, but we do not have the time yet. I live about 4 hours away from Ligonier, so I'm hoping that they pick a time that is can accommodate me, driving 4 hours at travel time, that I can get there in a reasonable time and get up in the morning at a reasonable time. So we're planning to do the book signing again at Second Chapter Books, Sunday, October 18th. So check my website here if you're out in that area and you'd like to stop by and pick up a copy of Kashmir Ghost and Graveyards at Night. It's help support our charity. I'll let you know the exact time as soon as I get it. So, and then in December, my final show of the year will be the Lehigh Valley Comic Con. It's their second show this year. They had a big 2 day show back in June to celebrate their 25th anniversary. This is their last show of the year. It is a 1 day show on Saturday, December 5th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Lehigh Carbon Community College in Schnecksville, PA, just a little bit north of Allentown off of Route 309 North. So those are the last three appearances I'm doing this year. And that, as they say, is that for book updates and awards and events and such. And before I close out this episode, I'd just like to take a moment to pay tribute to someone, a good friend of mine, longtime friend of mine, who passed away last October. His name is Joe Nettelhans. Joe, as you've probably heard me mention on the show before, was the owner and curator of the Toy Robot Museum in Adamstown, Pennsylvania. That is in Lancaster County, Adamstown, Pennsylvania. My wife and I met Joe right around 2002, in August of 2002, was this month actually. And we had gone to Adamstown to do some antique shopping. It is known as the antiques capital of USA. Pardon me, I'm sweating out. I got crazy. It's a little warm. It is known as the antiques capital of USA, and I had not been there in a while, and I did not know about the Stoutberg Village, which was a quaint village built in sort of an old German style, and it was just in its sort of burgeoning village with only about, I don't know, a dozen or so buildings at the time. And the deal was that shopkeepers would have their store on the first floor and live above it. And Joe was one of them. And so my wife and I went to this village on this hot August day. There was no one around except a middle-aged man sweeping up at the fountain in the middle of the courtyard. And we started looking around and saw this interesting shop called the Toy Robot Museum. So we went in, and lo and behold, that middle-aged man followed us in, and it turned out to be Joe. And that ended up being a 22-year-long friendship, or 23-year-long friendship, I should say. He passed away in October of last year, 2025. So I just wanted to pay tribute to him this month, not just because we met him in August, but because August 7th was his birthday. It's the 17th today. I didn't get a chance to record a video until today. The 7th was his birthday. And I just wanted to show you some really cool pictures from the Toy Robot Museum. In fact, some better ones might be over here. You can see these really cool pictures of some of the robots he had on display. Just wonderful, magical place when you walked in. If you're a science fiction fan, if you enjoy robots, if you enjoy TV and movies and robot toys, everyone remembers Rock'em Sock'em Robots. He had about 6 different versions of that, different sizes on display, as well as one you could actually play. Just a really neat store. It was such a cool place. And we struck up a friendship, and my wife and I would go out 2 or 3 times a year to visit Joe. His wife had just passed away from brain cancer a year, maybe two, before we met him. And so, we enjoyed going out and just, on his birthday, taking him out to dinner, and at the holidays to make sure he had some company and just some friendship around the holidays. He was a retired New York City police officer who worked in there's a great shot of Maria the robot from Metropolis, which will be celebrating its 100th year anniversary next year, 2027. It's a silent film from 1927, directed by Fritz Lang. And so anyway, we would take Joe out for Christmas and his birthday and just have a good time. And Joe used to host a toy robot collectors convention at his shop called Botstock, kind of like Woodstock, but it's Botstock. There's a great shot, by the way, right there of a lot of his displays all lined up, all these IKEA display cabinets. Um, and Botstock would bring people in from all over. I mean, people flew in from Germany. They would come down from Canada, all over the country to go out to Adamstown to the 8 miles of antique shops and buy toy robots and bring robots with them to trade with their fellow collectors. I was never really a big toy robot collector. I was more of a science fiction fan, as you know. And, I would go out to these events and I would maybe win a couple of robots in a raffle or bring some swag for everyone to get. We all came home with different swag, little robot prizes and different things. But I'll put the link to this in the notes below the show so you can check it out if you're a fan of science fiction and toy robots and stuff and robots in general. You can check that out. So because it was Joe's birthday recently and because we just met him this same month in August, I thought I would share that little tribute. I do miss him greatly. I'm going to miss him for a long time. Um, one of the longest running friendships I've ever had. So with that, I'm going to end the show because it is hot in this sunroom. I'm sweating and that's really all the updates I had. Again, it was the Pencraft Award for the short story collection, which I was thrilled about. The release of the Halloween anthology in the next couple of weeks. It is available on pre-order. Some upcoming events for the rest of the year, and my little tribute to Joe at the Robot Museum was pretty much the only things on my agenda. So take care and talk to you soon. Bye.